baby. Last week you met the twins. Now it's time for you to re-meet the Guns. Hello, my Chucky fans. We are now on episode 5 of season 2 of the Chucky TV series. This episode titled Doll on Doll. And things are really starting to steam up, leading us to what I think is going to be one wild, bonkers finale. Because the reveals in this episode left my jaw on the ground and scratching my head going, ¿Qué está pasando aquí? So here, as your Chucky man, I'm going to be giving you guys my spoiler review, basically breaking down the episode, pointing out Easter eggs you might have missed, and speculating further to what we could be seeing in the final 3 episodes, since this season is 8 episodes long. As well as hearing from you Chucky fans, because as much as I speculate and theorize, some of you in the comment sections be getting it right on the money. I be reading so many theories and thoughts down there that some of you actually get it right, and when it pops up on the show, I go, oh, I wish I could remember the user's name, but I know somebody called that out, and that's fantastic. So again, just general thoughts on episode 5. You guys know my thoughts on episode 4. It looks like I was maybe in the minority because a lot of you absolutely love the bonkerness of the last episode, and I love that about the fans. It just goes to show what kind of Chucky we love, and some of y'all are completely fine with a little cheese and campiness in the Chucky universe. To me, either way, it seemed like we all agreed that the reintroduction of Glen and Glenda were handled perfectly, and we're excited to see where those characters go. Happy we got moments of them here in this episode so we can theorize to what they will be playing a part in by the end. And for me with episode 5, even though it's still retaining a little bit of its cheesy campy tone, it still has me reeled in with its story, man. They are busting out reveals and connections that I really didn't think were gonna come into play, and they have me completely hooked to see how they're gonna end this. So starting off here with the opening of episode 5, like I said, a lot of you guys called it out. I really thought good guy Chucky was dead by the end of episode 3 when buff Chucky stepped in to take care of that little boy. But here with episode 5, we pick up exactly where that episode left off, seeing the aftermath of those events where we get good guy Chucky versus buff Chucky in what is an interesting turn of events. I think a lot of us thought something like this would eventually happen. Whenever you throw in the idea of being able to multiply yourself, or in Chucky's case, split his soul, we all threw out our fan theories that eventually there might be a Chucky doll out there that would clash with another one, causing them to fight, and we're seeing that play out sort of twice this episode. As the 2 Chucky dolls are fighting though, it is interesting to see the different reactions behind the door, because you have Devin and Jake there witnessing the whole thing, while Jake is wanting to go in there and save good guy Chucky, like a lot of us that have fallen in love with good guy cute Chucky, while Devin is like, no, it's Chucky either way, whichever one dies, it's a win for us, because that's one less Chucky in our lives. Having the battle end with good guy Chucky basically crucifying buff Chucky on the wall, very much resembling the cross, and then vomiting at the side of it, bringing us to the title card sequence that is made up of a bunch of stuffed animals that I gotta admit, guys, I'm not too sure what the exact connection of the stuffed animals were this episode. Was it just because we were following a soft, cuddly Chucky? Was it because Glen and Glenda seemed to hold on to stuffed animals? I don't know, maybe some of you guys could make it more clear to me. Not saying that's a negative at all, I'm just saying I couldn't pick up the theme of what the title card was going with. Bringing us to Jake and Devin, who continue to have this debate about whether they can even trust good guy Chucky, while Jake takes him away and Devin attempts to get rid of buff Chucky, having Father Bryce step in and be completely offended to what he's seen on the wall. I'm really getting to a point where I can't wait for Chucky to reveal himself to Father Bryce. It's just going to be such a satisfying moment, especially with how hard-headed he is on his religion and disbelief that these dolls are actually real. I'm dying to see the reaction Father Bryce is going to have, and I even love the moment where Devin was kind of messing with Father Bryce and using his own religion against him, saying, yeah, why would you believe supernatural elements on a doll? It's not like you believe any other type of supernatural elements, my guy. That was pretty clever of the writers right there. From there, we cut to some moments between Lexi and Nadine, where Lexi is just continuing to have another nervous breakdown over the death of her bully and them having to stash away her body, where she just wants another fix, aka her pills. You guys heard me talk about this in episode 3, where I'm kind of sick of this trope and I just wanted it to end, and well, episode 5 ended it in a pretty satisfying way. Lexi seems to kick the habit after Nadine opens up and lets her know that her mom also went through the same thing, and that she wants to be a good friend and make sure Lexi doesn't end up the same way as her mom. And I thought that was actually a really beautiful moment. It brought the characters more together, and it was a pretty powerful way for Lexi to kick that habit, and I'm hoping from now on we're just done with that. Also, side note, does anyone else out there get completely disgusted when we see characters just sit on bathroom floors and even touch toilet seats? Like, Wash your hands, Lexi. Buff Chucky don't have no fatness system to fight germs. Cutting us now to Glenn, who is currently having a nightmare, 2 flashbacks of the events of Seed of Chucky where they were basically killing. As soon as Glenn wakes up, they feel compelled to reach out to their other half, Glenda, and ask if they just had the exact same dream, confirming Glenda also had the similar nightmare. With the way this episode ends and everything they're building up with Glenn and Glenda, they just continue to feel this emptiness inside, and I'm just really curious if by the end of the season we'll see them agree just to go back into one doll, even though there's technically 2 personalities within them. We follow Glenn go up to their mom, who is once again watching Liar Liar. This is one of my favorite comedies, Tiffany. You're gonna make me despise it. It is so funny to me that Tiffany feels the need to watch this movie every day, but with little events that transpire in this episode, it makes a lot more sense. We see that Jennifer Tilly's real-life sister, Meg Tilly, is still there and is even starting to catch on to her sister not exactly acting right, asking her questions about their past, where you can see Tiffany, being in Jennifer Tilly's body, doesn't know those memories and feels a little panicky not knowing that stuff. So you could say her watching Liar Liar over and over is maybe her trying to regain some sort of memory or be like Jennifer Tilly, memorizing what she's like so she can copy those mannerisms in real life. At least that's what I'm taking from it. We'll dive more into them in a sec, because as we move back to Nadine and Lexi, once they re-enter their room, Trevor's body is gone. It's not in the closet, it's not on the floor, somebody has cleaned it up and taken it away. At the same time they're figuring that out, we see Jake and this good guy Chucky doll kind of growing closer together, where he's really starting to buy in that this doll has changed. And I'll tell you what, us as audience members, I bet we're all confused here. I'm sure there's a good chunk of y'all that believe Chucky's faking it, there's no such thing as a good Chucky doll, and there's another half that believes, no, he has changed and he is good. I am like 50-50 on this, because there's like little things this good guy Chucky doll says that makes me think, oh, he's messing with us. He's effing with us real good here. Like when Jake asks him how he felt after killing Buff Chucky, he says he feels like he finally found his purpose. That's a red flag. And another red flag is this good guy Chucky doll quoting Batman and Robin from the 1960s series, the same thing that his foster brother would always quote, almost feeling like this doll is literally taunting Jake in his face just because he can. That feels like a red flag to me. To me, there's even subtle moments as the characters are talking between each other, explaining their plan, what they're gonna do, where they cut to Chucky's face just staring up at them, and it just makes me think back. The whole purpose of this doll was to be a scout, was taking photos, was lurking in the background, and then retrieving all that information to the Colonel. So if this Chucky doll is faking it, he's being even more of a perfect spy, because now he's not only getting photo evidence of what they're doing, he's listening to their conversations and can now pass that information on. But again, I'm 50-50 on whether this doll is good or not, and I think the show is even doing a great job of dividing the group and having it play into the religious aspect of this show, because as we were seeing in previous episodes, Jake is slowly starting to buy into the Catholic teachings and is open to their religion, while Devin seems 100% against it, is not going to buy into it. We see that after Father Bryce makes him read the infamous anti-gay passage of "thou should not lay with a man," ripping it out of the Bible, and then being almost sort of in shock or disgusted when he sees Jake wanting to baptize good guy Chucky alongside Nadine, who seems to believe he's gone good. There might be some people that think there's no way Jake would do this, but if we go back to his character from season 1, I feel this is believable. Devin brought up a great point that Jake lost almost his entire family to Chucky, and it's so weird that he isn't at least a little hesitant to trust this good guy Chucky. Devin doesn't want to trust him because he lost his mom to Chucky, and Lexi doesn't want to trust him because she lost her first love, Junior, and that's all she sees when she looks at Chucky. But in Jake's case, even though he lost more people than the other two, those were people he wasn't really that attached to. Sure, he lost his father, and we all think we're super attached to his father, but his father was abusive, he was an alcoholic, and he hated the fact he was gay. Then when Jake moved into his cousin's home, he didn't get along with Junior, and he didn't get along with his aunt or uncle. So when they died, yeah, he maybe felt bad and a little sad, but it didn't didn't hit him the same way when Devin and Lexi lost their loves. We also saw Jake was one of the very first ones to be manipulated by Chucky to the point he almost killed somebody for Chucky. So to me, I think the show is doing a great job with these characters and developing them and putting this wedge between them. I just wonder how that's going to play into the finale of this season. Now bringing us back to the Jennifer Tilly household, we get one of the biggest reveals I was not expecting at all. The show subtly reminds the audience again of a couple of scenes from Seed of Chucky, which I gotta say, I never thought I'd be that pumped and excited to see scenes from Seed of Chucky that'll play into this show. Don, how are you making me actually like a movie I hate in your franchise? But it's revealed here that Tiffany Valentine has actually been holding hostage the real Jennifer Tilly inside the Belle doll from Seed of Chucky whenever she switched souls. We get some heavy exposition that even some of you guys were bringing up in my comment section that like Jennifer Tilly can't be broke. She's a voice on Family Guy. That show's still running today. She should get some checks. And Jennifer Tilly here flat out mentions Family Guy, answering fan mail, basically doing all the small details of Jennifer Tilly's life that Tiffany Valentine would have no knowledge of. This is kind of crazy and adds a whole new dimension to the Tiffany character I desperately needed. You guys heard me say last episode, in episode 4, when Chucky taking over Nika's body was about to shoot human Jennifer Tilly / Tiffany, I wanted him to pull that trigger. I kind of wanted to be done with human body Tiffany, and I wanted her back into a doll because all this season she has just been an alcoholic watching Liar Liar every episode. That's not really fun for me. I was like, if that's all her character is reduced to, take her out. And then as soon as I say that, they throw in a new twist and a new element in here, and I'm like, keep her alive. Keep human Tiffany alive. But also, like, she's been trapped in that cage for at least 10 years, I believe. That's how long in the timeline I think Seed of Chucky has happened. That's forever in that cage, all for chocolates. That is an Easter egg to Seed of Chucky, because they play into the fact of Jennifer Tilly gaining a little weight in real life, and she's having trouble with her diet, and she loves her chocolate, and I guess they brought that back for here. Also cool to see a Chucky Goes Psycho poster. That's the fake movie they were filming in Seed of Chucky. But again, just a really interesting choice to bring back Jennifer Tilly, the real life actress, in here when we thought she was dead and gone a long time ago. Going back to the school for a little bit, we see that Buff Chucky, who was thrown into a garbage can, has not actually died and is risen, as a funny little joke to God being risen 3 days later after his crucifixion, where the nun who first looked at the good guy doll and thought it was the face of God himself now looks to be a servant to this Buff Chucky doll, and I can only imagine what shenanigans these two are about to get into. Bringing us back to the Jennifer Tilly household, where after a failed backstory attempt, Meg Tilly walks in and finds her sister trapped in a doll body, where Tiffany Valentine goes crazy and kills her right in front of their child, Glen. As always, the real Tiffany Valentine will always over-emerge from Jennifer Tilly, finally explaining to their child, Glen, their true origin and why they've been having these nightmares, even going as far as presenting the Glen doll to Glen. That I gotta say was a really great moment in here, especially with Glen realizing this is them, looking at it and going, it's me. That's one powerful moment, that Glen instantly recognizes this doll that they have not seen in real life except in their dreams. Also, the fact that they immediately want to go ahead and show it to Glenda. I wonder how many of you think they'll want to transfer their souls back into that doll. It seems like something they would want. Maybe they're that desperate to fill the hole in their chest that they've been feeling. Setting then their house on fire, driving off with the Glen and Jennifer Tilly doll off to go meet up with Glenda, Nika, and Kyle, I assume. I'm not sure if Tiffany Valentine is going to have a secondary motive in here. This kind of always happens with Tiffany. She will have her outbursts, her rage, her killer moments, but at the end of the day, she does have a silver lining of humanity in her.
Oh, Chucky, look at us. Don't you see? We belong dead.
Where there's a small sliver of her that wants to do some good, so for all we know, she could just be going to face the music with Glenda, reveal everything, and then be willing to give Jennifer Tilly her body back. Ending the episode off with Lexi and Devin headed into the woods after they inspected Chucky's scout phone for a little bit, realizing there's a trail of body parts in the woods, mainly pieces of Chucky dolls, all some that we can assume fell off that bus from the very first episode. Looking looking into the window, all of us thinking this was maybe going to be Andy's cabin that we've seen in some of the later Chucky movies. And while Andy Barkley, played by Alex Vincent, is there laying down, bearded up and hurt, it's not him who's masterminding all of this, because it's revealed two people are behind this. Baldheaded Chucky, who is now confirmed to be the Colonel, the one calling the shots, and Dr. Mixter, the therapist from season 1 and season 2, who sent Devin, Lexi, and Jake to this Catholic school. Alright, now let's strap in and try and figure all of this out, cause what the heck, man. Earlier this season, whenever the therapist handed the Belle doll to Lexi's younger sister Coraline, that immediately was a red flag to us, and we thought, okay, something's up with her. And then when she was the one to suggest the trio go to the Catholic school that Chucky grew up in, that was red flag number 2, and we were like, no, something's up with her. What is it though? Here we finally get the confirmation she is in cahoots with Chucky, is working together with him, but we still have no idea who she is. Some of y'all were immediately messaging me saying that it was Chucky's mom, but like, did y'all forget season 1? Chucky kills his own mom. The other popular theory going around about this doctor is that maybe she's the caretaker that we saw in flashbacks when Chucky was in that orphanage. That is now the same school that the trio are in. That could be a very likely possibility. I know the ages don't exactly match up, but if she has been in cahoots with Chucky, it only takes a couple of Chucky dolls and swapping your soul around from body to body to keep you at an age that isn't that weird. But for now, I'm gonna say maybe it's not that character, because I didn't remember much about this therapist, so I went to the Chucky Wikipedia of the character, and there was a detail in here I completely forgot about. Apparently, this therapist has said before in the show that the reason she loves dolls and was suggesting the Belle doll to Coraline earlier this season is because she mentioned as a child she got polio and was bedridden, and dolls became her best friend. So what if actually this therapist was another student or kid in the orphanage that befriended Chucky, or at least Charles Lee Ray? Because I mean, it sounds like she knew him as Charles Lee Ray since she's calling him Charlie. This could maybe be one of Chucky's first loves or one of his first friends. Heck, maybe even this character loving dolls is something she passed on to Charles Lee Ray that then eventually led him down the path to get inside a Chucky doll. That's crazy speculation right there, but it's crazy to think that this mastermind, or at least henchman, has been under our noses all the way back to season 1, because this is the same therapist that was seeing Jake's aunt, Bree. And don't forget, Chucky killed that aunt at her office, so she was probably aware and complicit with that. But okay, now getting us to Baldheaded Chucky, like, what is going on here? The boy stepped up in ranks when he was becoming the laughingstock in episode 1? Please don't tell me the whole reason this Chucky is Colonel taking over and killing Chucky dolls, because I wouldn't be surprised if it was this bald-headed Chucky that killed all these dolls, put their heads on spikes, and is wearing some of their ears as a necklace, all because they were making fun of him for being bald. Yeah, that's funny, but that's also like just such a weird, jokey origin. It's that little bit of seed of Chuckiness that's kind of goofy for me. Even some of you guys have pointed out that Buff Chucky could possibly have been the person next to Bald Chucky in episode 1, because there was a line in there where Bald Chucky was making fun of his small arms. He took that to heart, took some creatine, and now look at him.
Yeah, well, they also say it ain't the size that counts. So I wouldn't worry about those pathetic stick arms of yours. I don't have stick arms.
The other reason this could all be happening though right now is because these Chuckies don't have a real head Chucky to follow. Don't forget, these guys were all supposed to be followers of the real mastermind Chucky, Charles Lee Ray, the OG Chucky that we believe to be. And that Chucky right now doesn't have a doll body. He's stuck inside the body of Nika. That is the closest thing we have to OG original Chucky, is the Chucky that's stuck inside Nika. So now with these other dolls kind of lost and without a purpose in origin, like being bullied by other Chucky dolls, I guess could be the reason they're just going off the rails and doing this stuff. But I gotta think they have some sort of plan, and I'm just curious to see what exactly that'll be, because he has Andy Barkley here, and he could kill him at any time he wants. And I can't decide whether Baldheaded Chucky is right now torturing him or actually trying to make injury better, because it looks like he maybe broke something and is maybe trying to do surgery on him. I don't know. But I am curious and caught on the hook for sure. This is where I want to throw it off to you guys. You hear my speculation, my thoughts, the craziness going on with the show. Where do you think this is all headed? How do you think this season's going to end? I'm curious to what you guys think, and well, I'm off to the party store to get me a bald cap. Because now it looks like I need to be bald Chucky for you guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.